Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Great. Fantastic. Great. What I want to do, share today with lots of you in very engaging conversations and presentations. And you've really taken and presented quite a lot of what I'm going to talk about, but I'm just going to share two. I can't seem to move my screen up. All right, okay. So what I want to talk about really is the future of learning and understanding collaborations. I think when we talk about collaborations and translating information and looking at things, what we tend to do is we go far away and try to look at things away from our immediate vicinity. And we forget about what's around us. So my essential conversation here is really about, if you want to make collaborations for impact, you've got to address and understand information and contextualize it around your immediate surroundings. And that means you need to address problems and issues in your immediate surroundings and put it into this framework, which I've just shared, which you can see, is creating data and converting it into information and having that data makes into intelligence and to a knowledge base to address what you're being challenged with. Let's take the example right now. The immediate requirements for most countries and most places around the globe in Tibet or in knowledge is not trying to take something from an external solution, as some of the previous presenters did allude to, is we do not need buildings. We do not need to go through all of the steps that other countries have gone through. We need to look at addressing what is immediate. So let's look at some of the sort of ideas and thoughts I have in practical senses. One is, if you look in Nigeria, when you're talking about in Nigeria, and one of the big issues that we all have to face in our market space is, how do we connect those things with the SDGs that we, oops, my screen is gone, but I'll continue talking, is connecting the dots between what we are talking about in our market space. So for example, food and clean water. How do we create solutions around clean water and converting that information around our challenges that we face in our immediate vicinities? So we need to really bring a community spirit in learning and converting knowledge and the information to be translated purely not by going into a classroom, but we need to think about how we learn for the future. Learning for the future is not going to be where you only go into a classroom and learn. You don't only go to a school. You've got to think about learning in the home, converting your information and the challenges you face on a day-to-day basis as a family, in your community, and the larger surroundings that you're going about. So if we take the issue about food security or clean water, currently all countries are facing issues around clean water, issues around food security. How do we translate that into our immediate knowledge within our communities? And how do we take that and translate that knowledge into the space of skilling. So from our perspective at the Nptc, what we do and all of the projects that we look at, we try to understand, and it is very, very important from my perspective when I go and look at a particular project that we're asked to address, I am always aware of that I have to be able to listen to the people and their challenges more than trying to bring a solution from my perspective. I need to understand the immediate context in how my solution is going to address, to be able to address their requirements rather than trying to impose a solution which is appropriate in maybe one country and translate it locally. So one example that I would give is this. We're the only drone academy in the UK as a FE college. So what we're doing is leveraging the knowledge of the drones and finding how drones could be utilized and applicable in the agricultural sector, and connecting the dots for that knowledge to be translated into the challenging situation of the agricultural sector. So finding the gaps in the skills in that sector of agriculture, mapping out those skills, and then connecting the skills that we need to translate down the line in a local context. So in agriculture, we would bring, the ideas around taking farm to fork, thoughts around farm to fork. How do you bring your agricultural products and bring it to the market in a sensible way in the African context, rather than one which is very much based from a European context? So it is really looking at that perspective and connecting the dots going forward. I really think, most of all the things that the people have been talking about in the last number of presentations in the last 15-20 minutes, partnerships are absolutely important. Collaborations cannot be applicable or successful unless partners listen very carefully to the other partners and what is required. So a solution from one partner into another market space needs to adapt to the requirements. And there might be lots of things that you do in a particular part which is not needed, and you only focus on very specific issues that is missing in the market space, and bring those and translate them in different ways of converting the knowledge and the skills, hands-on training through all those presentations that we've fantastically listened to by Steve.